All right, so get ready because we're diving into something I think we've all dealt with, headaches. But this isn't going to be your typical, like, take an aspirin kind of deal.
Yeah.
We're going way deeper, looking at how our minds and bodies connect when it comes to headaches.
Uh-huh.
And we're going to use Maria Rueda's book, Know Yourself Better, as our guide. Now, I got to admit, when I first saw this book and it was talking about how headaches could be caused by, like, self-criticism
Yeah.
or even fear, I was like, really?
Yeah, it does seem a little out there,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But when you think about it, if you're always like battling that inner critic or you're
Mhm.
holding on to anxiety, I mean, that creates tension, doesn't it?
Right.
And where does that tension often end up?
If they're shorter.
Yeah, in your body.
Mm.
And for a lot of people, that manifests as tension headaches.
That's interesting. So it's not just about the physical feeling of the headache itself, but also like what's going on underneath emotionally.
Exactly. Ruida's approach is really about treating those deeper emotional patterns,
Mm.
not just masking the symptom.
Yeah.
She argues that by actually addressing those root causes, you can actually reduce how often you get headaches and how bad they are, especially tension headaches,
Mm.
which is what we're focusing on today.
Okay, so how do we actually do that? The book talks about like new mindsets, and I gotta say, the whole affirmations thing has always seemed kind of cheesy to me.
I totally get it. It can sound a little simplistic,
Yeah.
but there's actually some pretty fascinating science behind it.
Really?
Yeah, so Rueda gives this specific affirmation for headaches, and it goes like this. I love and accept myself. I am at peace with my life and trust the process of life. And what's interesting is that the wording, it really targets those feelings of self-criticism and fear that we were just talking
Oh,
about.
wait.
It's like you're intentionally building these new neural pathways of self-acceptance.
So instead of just trying to like think positive,
Uh-huh.
we're actually going after the specific emotions that might be creating that tension.
Precisely. And research has actually shown that when you repeat affirmations, it can activate the areas in your brain that are linked to like feeling good and having self-worth. So it's
Yeah.
not just wishful thinking. There's a real neurological impact. Like you're telling your brain, hey, it's okay to relax. We're safe. We're on the right path. And when that inner pressure starts to ease up, the tension headaches are less likely to show up.
That makes a lot more sense. So it's not just about covering up the problem, it's about changing how our brain reacts to stress in the first place.
Right.
But the book doesn't just stop there, does it?
Sure.
I was really intrigued by the idea of using visualization to actually help ease the pain. Like, is that really a thing?
That's where the power of our minds really comes into play. Rueda suggests this specific visualization. You imagine the soothing light surrounding your head, and it's like dissolving the headache. And, as a neuroscientist, I can tell you, our brains are unbelievably receptive to images.
Mm.
When you vividly imagine something, your brain often processes it like it's a real experience.
Wow. So we're kind of tricking our brain into healing itself.
In a way, yeah. By visualizing that healing light,
Yeah.
you're actually triggering relaxation responses in your brain,
Yeah.
even though there's no, like, real external thing causing it. And that's where the concept of neuroplasticity is key.
Okay, hold on. Neuroplasticity. For those of us who haven't, spent years studying the brain, what exactly does that mean?
So basically, it means our brains aren't fixed. They're always forming new connections, strengthening the ones they have, even creating whole new pathways. So when you practice this visualization over and over, you're basically training your brain to react differently to headaches. Instead of that stress response, you're encouraging a relaxation response.
So visualization is like giving our brains a workout, huh? Building those relaxation muscles, so to speak.
I like that, yeah.
But Rueda also talks a lot about meditation, right? And I'll be honest, sometimes I really struggle to actually quiet my mind.
Meditation can definitely be a challenge,
Mhm.
especially when you're first starting out.
Yeah.
But what's really cool is that it actually helps us focus better on those visualizations. By calming down all that mental chatter and reducing stress hormones, we create a more receptive environment, you could say, for those healing images to really take hold.
So it's not just about sitting in silence, it's about creating the right conditions for those visualizations to actually work.
Exactly.
I'm starting to see how all these pieces connect.
It's all about a holistic approach.
Yeah.
Rueda really emphasizes that the mental, emotional, and physical parts of healing are all intertwined.
So we've been talking about how Know Yourself Better, this book, encourages us to think about headaches as more than just physical pain. Like they could be a sign of some emotional tension that we're carrying around.
Yeah, it's like our bodies are trying to tell us something, right? Like, hey, Something's out of whack here.
Right. And we've touched on some of the tools that Maria Rueda, the author, gives us to address that imbalance,
Right.
like affirmations, visualization, meditation. But it doesn't stop at the mental and emotional level, does it? The book also talks about the importance of physical action, too.
Oh, absolutely. Rueda reminds us that for true healing, we got to address all parts of ourselves: mind, body, A&D, spirit.
Right.
So along with those mental techniques, she recommends some really simple but powerful physical things you can do, like gentle stretches for your neck and shoulders.
That makes sense. I mean, if we're holding all this tension in our minds and emotions, it's bound to show up physically, too.
Exactly.
So releasing that muscle tension can help break that cycle.
Exactly. And it's not just about stretching. Rueda also really emphasizes something we often take for granted, which is staying hydrated.
Oh, right. Because dehydration can actually trigger headaches.
Yes.
It's like our brains are saying, hey, I need more fuel here.
Yeah. It's like, help me out.
Yeah.
And that actually brings us to a key concept that Rueda calls the Healing Power Quartet. It's basically a framework for how we can approach healing in a holistic way. And it combines affirmations, meditations, visualization, 80 actionable steps.
So it's like a recipe for well-being. Each ingredient has a really important role to play.
I love that analogy.
Thanks.
So let's kind of break down each part of this quartet. We've already talked about affirmations, right?
Uh-huh.
How they can help us rewire our thinking, replacing that negative self-talk with more positive, empowering statements.
And we talked about how just by repeating those affirmations, we can activate those parts of our brain that are linked to feeling good about ourselves, feeling worthy.
Exactly. But those positive affirmations, they need fertile ground to grow in.
Okay.
And that's where meditation comes in. It's like creating this calm, quiet space in our minds for those seeds of positivity to really take root and flourish.
And meditation doesn't just benefit our mental state. We know there's more and more research coming out about its positive effects on our physical health, too, like reducing those stress hormones, boosting our immune system.
Absolutely. It's like giving our bodies a much-needed break from all that stress,
Yeah.
allowing them to rest, repair, and rejuvenate.
I like that. Okay, so then we have visualization.
Right.
And this is where things get really interesting for me.
Yes.
It's like we're tapping into the power of our own imagination to actually influence our physical reality.
It's powerful stuff. And Rueda really emphasizes this.
Mm-hmm.
When we vividly picture something in our minds, our brains often interpret it as if it's really happening.
Yeah.
And that triggers these physiological responses.
Yeah.
So by visualizing ourselves healing, we're sending these powerful messages to our body, encouraging it to follow suit.
But how do we make those visualizations really effective? Because I've tried it before, and sometimes, my mind just wanders.
I hear you. That's something a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah.
But Rueda offers some really great tips for making those visualizations more vivid and engaging.
Okay.
For headaches, she suggests picturing the pain as a fog that's slowly lifting,
Okay.
or like a tight knot that's gently unraveling.
I love those visuals.
Yeah, they paint a picture, right? It makes the whole process seem less intimidating, more approachable.
Definitely.
Exactly. So it's about finding those images that really speak to you, something that captures your imagination, makes that visualization feel real. And remember, consistency is key. The more you practice, the better you'll become at harnessing the power of your own mind.
So we've got the affirmations to change our thinking, meditation to calm the mind, visualization to tap into that power of imagination. But what about those actionable steps you mentioned before? How do those fit into this healing quartet?
Those are the bridge between our inner world and our outer world. They're the actual things we do, the actions we take to support our healing, the physical expression of those mental and emotional shifts we've been talking about.
So it's not enough to just think positive thoughts. We actually have to take concrete steps that align with those thoughts.
Exactly. For headaches, those actions might be those gentle neck and shoulder stretches we talked about.
Right.
Staying hydrated, getting enough sleep, maybe even looking into some alternative therapies like acupuncture or massage.
So it's about being an active participant in our own healing, taking responsibility for our own well-being. And Rueda emphasizes that even small actions can have a big impact.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's those small, consistent actions that are the most powerful catalyst for change.
Right.
Just like building momentum one step at a time.
Yeah.
And that actually leads to another important point that Rueda makes. Healing is a journey, not a destination.
So it's not about reaching some perfect state of health and then just coasting.
Exactly. There will be ups and downs, times of progress, times of setbacks. But the important thing is to keep moving forward, keep learning, keep exploring, and trust your body's amazing ability to heal.
It's about embracing the whole experience, the challenges and the wins.
And remembering that we have more power over our health than we often realize.
Right.
By using these tools that we've been talking about, from Know Yourself Better,
Yeah.
we can become active participants in our own healing journey.
We're not just passive bystanders. We can make choices that support our well-being. Choices that empower us to live healthier, more fulfilling lives.
Exactly.
It's pretty amazing, As we're wrapping up this deep dive into Know Yourself Better, how much my whole perspective on headaches has changed. We started talking about them as like this physical thing, but now it's like a whole different way of looking at it.
It really shows you how connected our bodies and minds are.
Yeah.
Those headaches we often just brush off as annoying, they might actually be trying to tell us something important.
Right.
Like, hey, pay attention to what's going on emotionally.
Exactly. We've been talking about how stuff like self-criticism and all that fear we carry can contribute to those tension headaches. And Maria Rueda's approach, it's not just about masking the pain.
Right.
It's about dealing with those deeper emotional patterns, using tools like affirmations and visualizations, meditation, all that.
And then taking all that and applying it to, like, the physical stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Gentle stretches, staying hydrated, just
Yeah.
making those conscious choices that support our well-being. It's about remembering that healing. It's got to be holistic. It's mind, body, and spirit.
It's like we're becoming like health detectives,
I like that.
learning to read the clues our bodies are giving us, and then using those clues to actually make positive changes. But one thing that really stood out to me in the book was how much Rueda emphasizes making this process our own.
Oh, absolutely. There's no one right way to heal.
Right.
Well, what works for one person might not work for another. It's about finding what feels right for you, what feels authentic, what feels empowering.
So it's not about following some strict set of rules. It's more about exploring these tools and figuring out how to make them work for our own individual needs.
Exactly. And being patient with ourselves along the way.
Yeah.
Healing takes time. It's not a race. There will be times you're making progress and times when it feels like you're taking a step back.
It's like learning any new skill. You're not going to be fluent in a new language overnight.
Yeah.
It takes practice and sticking with it, even when it gets tough. And being okay with those ups and downs along the way.
And that's where self-compassion comes in. Being kind to yourself, acknowledging all the effort you're putting in, and celebrating those wins, no matter how small they might seem.
So as we're finishing up this deep dive into Know Yourself Better, we want to leave you with a question to think about.
Okay.
What's one little area of discomfort, whether it's physical or emotional, that you could focus on healing today?
What's one small step you could take to, like, nourish your mind, body, or spirit? Remember, even those tiny actions can have a ripple effect.
They can put you on a path towards feeling better overall.
Exactly.
And don't forget, Know Yourself Better, this book we've been talking about. It's full of wisdom and practical advice for anyone who wants to start this journey. If anything we talked about today resonated with you, I highly recommend checking it out. You might discover some incredible healing potential within yourself.
Thanks for joining us on this exploration of the mind-body connection.
We hope you've gotten some valuable insights from it.
And feel empowered to embark on your own healing journey.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep growing, and keep believing in the power of healing.